Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 knockdown rule on Triller is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Sugar Ray Favre Brady Lopez.
Stupid.
Call it a comeback.
More on that later. Thank you, Korean Cosell, Steve Kim, and of course we're joined by Smoking Tim Frazier and Justin Buffalo Knuckles and
Tino on the edits. We've got so much to talk about this past weekend. We begin round number 1 from the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden on ESPN. Super middleweight Edgar Berlanga remains undefeated, but he struggles against Steve Rolls. He moves to 19-0. Your scores 97-93 twice and 96-94. And junior middleweight, young, rising, ascending star Xander Zayas moves to 13-0, scoring a clear-cut 8-round decision over the Q, Quincy Lavalier. Mario Berlanga, I thought he won, but it felt like a loss.
You know, the deal with Berlanga, and I almost liken it to Ryan Garcia in this sense. Sometimes you start getting your flowers, as the kids say, and the accolades and popularity before it catches up with your skill set. Okay? And I think that's the case here. And when that happens, the growing pains are now in public display for everyone to see, dissect, and to be meticulous about what needs to be worked on. When you start hanging out with Fat Joe and when you start getting on social media, start calling out all these big names, then you're kind of bringing that unwanted attention. Oh, I don't know if it's unwanted. You're bringing attention to yourself, but you're putting a lot of, it's the most pressuresome sport as it is, but you're putting even more pressure considering the circumstances and the predicament you're in because all these eyes are on you. And when you start out being so violent and knocking everyone out, and it comes to be almost expected as a young kid, you start falling in love with your power and not working necessarily on your fundamentals. I don't know if it's Rozier, and because not that he's not a quality.
There's a lot of chefs with that stew.
Well,
I mean, he's got 3 trainers now.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Kim. Is it's got to be the right fit. You could have a great trainer, but not necessarily it works for you. Kind of like you can be in a great relationship with a great girl, but it doesn't matter. Or you can have a great girl, but it doesn't necessarily mesh with you because it's just not a good fit. I don't know if that's the case, but I have seen a little stagnation. Yes, to talk about the fight itself, yes, I did feel he did enough to win, but there was a lot of plotting. There was a lot of not cutting off the ring. Some people even think Rolls might have outboxed him the second half to make it a draw and possibly pulled off the victory. And this is a guy who a while back, as you know, Triple G took out in pretty devastating fashion. And this was his first time coming up. And Berlanga's a heavy-handed kid. One would assume this was a showcase fight that he could take it out. And that wasn't the case. I don't think it's pause for panic, but I do think it's pause for concern. And I think he's young enough to right the ship. I just think he needs to get mentally in the right frame of mind and have someone be honest with him and clear a lot of the distractions and focus on just boxing.
He's 24 years old, and Mario, to expound upon what you said, his first 16 fights literally didn't go 3 minutes. We never saw a ring card girl at his fights. His last 3 fights, it's not even the fact that he's not scoring knockouts. When he 17th fight, he scored 4 knockdowns against Damon Nicholson, but you thought, oh, he got 8 rounds in good. The last fight, he may have been injured, but he also got knocked down late. You were there during the Fury Wilder undercard. At this point now, his development or his progress, he has hit the wall like a 30-year-old Instagram model. And I talked about this last week.
Cold as ice.
Well, speaking of ice, Top Rank does these week-long videos. They do a very good job of producing their own features, the Monday and the Saturday all throughout. Little mini 24/7s. Yeah. There's this one video, and I should have sent it to you, where he gets into a van going to a promotional event, and the things he's talking about is, I got a $70,000 watch, I got $50,000 on my neck, and he goes, I got $170,000 worth of ice on me. And I said, great, and on Saturday you look like a cubic zirconian. I don't know what to really say other than the fact that if you asked him, and I talked about this last week, and everyone says that social media is a necessity or a necessary evil. I don't know. You don't really have to do everything on social media. If you ask that young man, Edgar, I think you look terrible, but I think you're better than this. But for the next camp, when it comes down to it, are you willing to move out of New York or go to a really secluded place, but you do no social media and you get one phone call to Fat Joe, and that's it. Would you be willing to do that? And if the answer is no, you have the wrong priority, something I have suspected for a while.
Well, someone needs to have that honest, come to Jesus conversation with him. Or else he's in a world of hurt if he's stepping in there with guys like Benavidez.
No.
You gotta keep names like Canelo out of your mouth.
Okay.
Well, that's what he was saying, right? So you're exactly right. The problem is you start falling in love with your power. You think you can overcome any sort of situation. But as you can see, when you get to a certain level, that's not going to be enough. So, look, I'm rooting for the kid. I think we need stars in the sport, but he does have to have a real strong look in the mirror and reassess his whole situation.
While Berlanga's stock is going down like Enron in the summer of 2001, Xander Zayas is Apple. I mean, I just look at this kid. I remember when they signed him at age 16, they had to hold him out. Top Rank said, this is the youngest guy we've ever had. And everyone in the amateur game said, Steve, that's the next Puerto Rican star. And I said, really? I actually did the first real feature on him for ESPN. The thing that I like about him, beyond the actual talent, the temperament. He cares, he works hard, he's got the right priorities. He's just developing right in front of our eyes.
He seems like a guy that is just a natural-born fighter in every sense of the word. Like, even when he's not, or he doesn't have a fight lined up, he still loves to be in the gym. He loves to train. He's sort of like that no boxing, no life mantra that Canelo lives by. Love what I see so far. Sharp, quick. Talk about a guy who fundamentally looks sound, and no one brings a fighter along better, I think, than Top Rank. So kudos to that kid. But yeah, it does seem like they're on different ends of the spectrum there.
Zayas is 13-0, 9 knockouts. As for the power, keep this in mind. He's only 19.
Yeah.
He has not gotten his man strength.
He don't even have his big boy strength.
Exactly. Yes. So, when was that song by Juvenile? He grew up like Rudy Huxtable. He's not there yet. Keep this in mind. Top Rank will go June 14th. I've watched some old Cosby shows this weekend. June 14th, it'll be the revival of the Puerto Rican Day weekend fight show. And I would say at this point, I think Zayas should be the main event with Berlanga as the co-main. It's kind of the way they're trending. I know I've been telling you about this kid for a while. Bruce Carrington with the highlight reel knockout over Yuri Andujar.
Wow. Knockout of the weekend.
And to paraphrase the Beatles, I saw him box. Now I'm a believer. What tools. This kid, I think, is a spectacular talent.
Knockout of the weekend.
Ooh.
And by the way, including the UFC fights.
Yes.
Which we should talk about that later too. You have been talking about him. I finally got a chance to check him out, and yeah, he's the goods. He delivered. That was nice, man.
He's mini James Toney. The catch and shoot, the pull counter,
Pretty.
The slip roll counter,
Yep.
the ability to work inside the pocket, and then to change speeds, and then bam, throw a hard one right down the middle.
That's the kind of style that can adapt to anyone and also give you longevity in the sport.
Yes, I think Top Rank's going to move him very fast. My understanding is because he had a few training camps where fights were postponed, we're not going to see him back till June, so maybe he'll be on that show at the Garden. Moving on, also on this night, Fight On at old USC Galen Center on the Zone. Let's get into this first. There was no Vergil Ortiz because literally a day after we taped our fine program last week where we waxed eloquently about how reliable and how dependable Vergil Ortiz is and he's low maintenance. Well, it turns out, and they're going to deny this, that he was high weight and he was out and he was hospitalized with, I'm going to butcher this, with rhabdomyolysis.
Now, let me ask you something. So, yeah, because I did find it ironic that we did call him Mr. Reliable, and he seems to be a guy who he's shown nothing but signs of consistency, if anything, always disciplined in the gym. Was this an issue because he tried to cut weight dramatically, or was it already an issue and he wasn't able to cut weight? Was it the chicken and the egg kind of? You understand what I'm saying?
I've talked to a few people in the fitness industry that have worked with fighters, that condition fighters, that train fighters, and feed fighters. They have all said that is a function of dropping weight and dehydration.
So it's okay. So it's a result of. Wow. Now he's always been big for that weight class, but could it have been just a little inactivity, not in the gym?
Oh well, let me just give myself a little credit, as I'm not going to feign any modesty. Who here has said after he fought Mean Machine Kavaliauskas August 14th? Wasn't there somebody that said, you know, I believe that Golden Boy, if they really want to sharpen the knife here, needs to bring him back in December for his third fight of the year? Oh, yeah, that was me. Too bad nobody listens to me, but I get paid the big bucks here. Now, here's the issue that I have with
Hold
Golden
on,
Boy.
since you're talking about you believe, I'm a believer, by the way, is the Monkees, not the Beatles. Just pointing that out.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
See,
Good catch.
you were
Good catch.
flying. You were flying with your analogies. Threw a monkey wrench.
know-
see what I did right there?
You know what? Even
Go ahead, Kim.
You know
Didn't
what?
mean to
Even
interrupt.
Tony Gwynn struck out once in a while. But this is the issue. He's 23 years old. He's really big for that weight. And we've known for a while he's going to be at 54 sooner rather than later. The reason why I thought they had to get him in back in December is and again, this is on the fighter. It's your body. The tool and the instrument as a prize fighter is your physical shape. You're either sharpening the knife or you're getting dull. There's really no in between in this thing, okay? But when you tell a kid, hey, don't worry about it, we'll see you next year, well, then they get Thanksgiving. Then they get Christmas. And then they get New Year's. And if they're really lazy, they celebrate Chinese New Year's. I'm just telling you, the kid is to blame, but he's also a victim of this system. Golden Boy, I think, has to shoulder some of the blame here, Mario. That's my view. And again, the accountability is ultimately on the fighter. And with that said now, he's number 1 in the WBO, and I believe number 1 in the WBC. What do you do with him?
Well, you got to give him another shot because it's his only trip up so far, right? And he seems to have a legitimate excuse with the scumbleosis.
Yeah.
I won't even try to attempt to say that. So, look, you give him another shot. If he blows it yet again, then we've got some serious issues. Then we've got to contemplate him going up and what have you. But I'm going to believe in the kid because his track record, I think, speaks for itself. And I think he deserves a benefit of the doubt on this one.
Okay, but the show moved on, and it was...
You were there, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get out of work until late, wasn't able to make it. It looked like a lively crowd.
By the way, I want to give Alexis Rocha credit. He scored a 9th-round knockout over Blair Cobbs, handing him his first loss. Rocha's now 19-1, 13 knockouts. He's just 24 years old. I think he's come a long way since that disappointing loss to Speedy Rashidi Ellis. And you talked about the audience. Look, my buddy Jim Boone, Mr. KO Tickets, said he had to give a lot of refunds back. Vergil was on the verge of drawing a very big crowd.
Right.
Still, a sizable contingent from Santa Ana showed up.
I was surprised. Once I heard Vergil was gone and the show was going to go on, I said, "Oh man, I hope some people still show up." And it looked like a pretty lively crowd on TV.
It really wasn't. Rocha, in my view, is a young contender now. Again, I don't know how he would do in a rematch with Ellis, but he's a sharp southpaw. He doesn't have great power, but good power.
Yeah.
He's not a speed demon, but he's not slow, and he knows how to fight, and he's the type of young man that is always on the grindstone. And he said, look, I'd like to fight in 3 months. And I said, hey, Golden Boy, you're listening? You have a fighter who wants to fight. Do your job. Just want to make one note here, and you better step aside. You weren't there. I was there. You know who wasn't there? Oscar De La Hoya as the CEO of Golden Boy. Hey, buddy, do your job. Show a little respect for your fighters. They deserve that. Mario, stay out of it.
I know he's my friend. I don't know what the situation was. I really don't. So I can't speak on that.
Must have been something.
You're gonna feel bad if it was some sort of health issue or something. I don't know. I'm speculating.
It wasn't because he was with Mark Anthony and he was posting it. So. Okay.
Oh, was that later that night?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Again,
I don't know.
Priorities.
Like I said. Hey, listen. As far as the fight itself, first of all, the light-skinned brother Bob Ross. I love him. Cobb. I love characters in this sport. It is fun, and he was doing a lot of talking. But you know what? At least he stepped up.
Made it interesting.
He made it interesting. And it was a fun fight. And I thought Rocha was steady, durable, applied smart pressure, was able to make nice adjustments, started working up upstairs, downstairs, took him out. Eventually, obviously, and it was a fun fight on TV. It looked like a lot of fun. It seemed like the crowd was really into it.
My view is if you start to market this young man in Orange County, and you have a place called the Honda Center. It used to be called the Pond for all us old folks.
We were there.
I believe he could draw a few folks, and he's got an exciting style. He's crowd pleasing, and look, 24 years old. He's right in that wheelhouse. He's ready for some more live action. Also scoring victories on this fight. Michael Mankinson. Look, it's a tough fight because it was a late replacement. This fight was boring. I mean, literally, people were like the beer lines were long during this fight. Let's just put it that way. Also, Beck the Bully scored a knockout, as did Young.
Beautiful
Evan
body
Sanchez.
shot. I love that body shot, by the way. That
Beck
was nice.
the Bully, if he doesn't run into that punch against Gabe Rosado, is probably knocking on the doorstep of a world title shot. I still think he's a live, tough hombre.
Oh, yeah. It was nice to see him kind of get back on track.
Yes. Also, fight preview. A lot of stuff going on this weekend in the world of boxing. Saturday from Leeds, England on the Zone. For the IBF featherweight title, Kiko Martinez takes on Josh Warrington. Then on ESPN, Viva Las Vegas, Miguel Burchelt returns, takes on Jeremiah Nakatila. Then Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's Showtime. Tim San Diego Zoo takes on Terrell Gaucher. Mario, a lot of interesting stuff going on. I want to see Tim Zoo because this, to me, is a litmus test of sorts. You look at Terrell Gaucher, only 2 losses, went the distance and had some moments against Erickson Lubin and was blanked against Lara. Let's see what Zoo has.
Yeah, I liked his dad a lot.
Yeah, Tim Zoo, it's uncanny, though. Not only does he look like his father, he fights just like him.
That's
probing left, straight right hand, that's straight as an arrow, a little bit upright in the torso.
Exactly.
And there was a fight against Sparks. I think his name is Steve Sparks. 2 right hands missed him by this much.
So you get a Vince Phillips type fighter. That
I was like,
that looping right hand.
Yeah,
exactly.
There are certain times when you see a fighter, even if they win, and there's certain moments you go, ooh. It reminds me of that story when Joe Louis was fighting somebody, and Max Schmeling was in the audience, and they were supposed to fight.
And he said he saw something.
I see something.
I see
and it was the right hand.
Yes.
Over and over and over again. And Mario, Miguel Burchelt, last time that we saw him in a weigh-in against Oscar Valdez, he looked like a prisoner of war. You know a guy's having issues making weight when they literally give him, I think, canned fruit for the glucose right as he steps off the scale. One of the reasons why I thought Valdez was a live dog in that fight, sometimes it's not the fighter that beats you, although that certainly matters. It's the weight. In my view,
that's why there's 2 fights.
Held
one at the scale and one in the ring.
To 130, a little bit too long.
I agree.
Looking at pictures, he looks very robust. He looks strong.
No, exactly. Much like Jose Luis Castillo stayed a little too long.
Yes, and once he couldn't make the weight, his effectiveness was lost. I remember him getting blown out of there by Ricky Hatton. Last week, Mario, Showtime announced their summer and spring schedule.
Busy.
Yeah, so let's go through the list here. We're going to be our own version of Siskel and Ebert. At the fights with Showtime. We're going to give grades here. Tim Zoo, Terrell Gaucher this weekend. I'm going to give that a B-. It's a triple header, but it's the toughest fight for Zoo at this moment. What do you give it?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm good with the B-.
Okay, so then, now April 9th, Erickson Lubin, very talented, only has 1 loss to Jermell Charlo, takes on Sebastian the Giraffe Fundura, one of your favorite fighters.
I like that kid.
All right, so I'm going to give this a B.
I'm giving it a B+, just because I really like him.
Okay.
And he's always in exciting fights.
Yes. Pay-per-view, we're not going to grade this. Errol Spence, Ugas, you have to pay extra for it, so it's a little different. This is an easy grade. This is a very easy grade. The rematch between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano, May 4th. A.
That's an A.
A+.
Solid A.
All the belts are on the line. I believe that's going to be in Los Angeles at the StubHub Center.
Oh, it is.
Or whatever they're calling it.
What was the date again?
May 14th. But remember, Kovalev is also fighting on Triller that
that's
night.
right. That's
so
right.
we might be busy.
That's a double deal, yeah.
Yeah, so the very next week, May 21st, David Benavidez is taking on David Lemieux at 168.
Talk about a physical disparity right there.
I'm going to give that a D. I'm sorry.
I still like it. It's still a fun fight. Are you okay? What are we judging on? What is that? Entertainment? Or
on entertainment,
quality?
It may be an A because
that's what I was going on.
Maybe Lemieux has one last hook left in his back pocket.
Regardless of the outcome, I think it'll be fun while it lasts.
Yeah, so you know what? Let me go C. Let me go C+ here. Let me go C+.
I'm going B.
I would have loved to have you as a teacher. I could have made honor roll of you.
I'm going B.
Okay, so then May 29th pay-per-view show, Gervonta Davis, Rolando Romero. We've talked about that fight. All right, June 4th.
I like that fight.
Yeah, you know what? You're not the only one, by the way.
Again, entertainment.
Entertainment value. June 4th. Okay, this is an easy grade for me. It's my favorite fight on the Showtime slate.
Okay.
Stephen Fulton against Danny, the Roman Empire. A+.
Oh, wow.
I love that fight.
A+. Okay,
yes.
I'm giving it an A.
2 of the best 122-pounders in the world. Fulton has 2 belts. Roman is a former unified champion. I saw stuff in the Fulton-Figueroa fight where a sloppy puncher was able to really touch Fulton a lot. You know what I think about Roman? He's one of the best line drive hitters in boxing. He just cuts you up like Freddy Krueger, just slices you to death. Not a lot of power, but he's a really good combination puncher. Okay, Jermall Charlo takes on Maciej Sulecki. All you need to know is that in the original Showtime graphic, Sulecki is just a unknown black guy.
That's cold. That's cold as ice.
That's an F.
That's
an F. If you can't even find a picture of a guy.
They made homie a shadow.
I mean, you couldn't go to his Instagram. You couldn't go to BoxRec. You couldn't make like a stick figure. He's just a black guy.
The disrespect.
Black guy. That's an F. That's an F. And finally,
it's called a silhouette.
A silhouette. Right. Okay. But if you like,
it's ominous. Maybe he chose.
There's an old joke in boxing. If your last opponent doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, you picked a real soft opponent. That's the visual version of not having a Wikipedia page. Right. And finally, July 9th, Mark Magsayo Mabuhay, the newest Filipino champion, takes on Ray Vargas. Ray Vargas is involved. That's a D-.
Ah,
it's Ray Vargas. He's terrible to watch.
Well, you know what, though? I think he's going to make it interesting. I give that a C.
He's never made any fight. Is that because he's Mexican? Is that you with the brown card?
No, I'm going on the Filipino. I'm basing it on the new Filipino champ.
Okay.
That's what I'm basing it on.
All right, moving on. But anyway, so a lot of good fights.
Yeah, solid fights.
Solid fights and some other ones.
I like the volume.
I like the volume. Me too. Looks like, Mario, moving on, before we get to Ask Mario and Final Flurries, we know what's going on in the Ukraine with Russia. And that it looks like Lomachenko's made the decision to stay with his people. So as of right now, deal is not finalized. But Devin Haney is now in the pole position for George Kambosos.
And he's agreed to go to Australia.
If he meets certain stipulations, I believe, like getting vaccinated and all that other stuff. So the deal is not done. But do you like that fight?
I do like that fight.
Yeah.
I like that fight a lot.
What do you favor?
I don't think Haney will be able to make lightweight too much longer. And I like that fight because it really does consolidate all the belts. You get a clear-cut unified champion. I think it's interesting stylistically. And I like Kambosos in that fight.
Yes.
You?
That's interesting. Well, the fight's going to be in Australia, so we know the politics. It's already 2-0 George.
Okay, but let's assume...
George is the volume pressure fighter that he was against Tio...
That's what I'm saying.
Haney, in his last couple of fights, we've seen him hit, we've seen him hurt.
That's why I think Kambosos, coming off of the performance with Tio, and... He's not going to be hit. He's not going to come. The shots coming back aren't going to be as hard as Tio.
Yeah,
we know that. So I think his confidence is going to be an all-time high, and I think he thinks Haney's a little chinny, so he's going to step up the gas a little bit. I like it.
I kind of like it.
I like it, and I like Kambosos in it. I really do.
Okay,
as talented as Haney is.
I don't disagree. Sometimes time and place matter more than the actual fighters. All right, we come back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. We wrap it up with Ask Mario and Final Flurries. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. Steve Kim, Mario Lopez. We go to the Ask Mario segment of our fine program. Here is a question from Ignacio Ortiz after his win on Saturday. Does Alexis Rocha become a legit contender at 147 or a high-end prospect? And what do you guys think about a possible Regis Prograis, who won over the weekend?
That's true.
Beat up Tyrone McKenna in 6, and Jose Zepeda for the vacant WBC title fight?
I've been hearing rumors that, coincidentally, I just came from Brickhouse Boxing. Shout out to those guys. They're really cool over there. And my boy Julian Chua now trains both of them. So I asked him. You know, he trains Prograis and he trains Zepeda.
Can he clone himself?
Well, that's what I said. He goes, I'm put in a real bad spot. And I asked him, well, what would you do? Because I know Zepeda went there first. He goes, I've asked to sit that one out, which I thought was kind of...
Shades of Angelo Dundee.
Yeah, I thought that was very sort of a classy move and respectful. So with that said, and assuming he does sit that one out, that's an interesting fight. Because Prograis, who I know has struggled to make the weight, but is now working with a nutritionist, and I guess makes it a little easier... I think he may be a little more of the athletic of the two, but call me crazy, I actually think Zepeda might have a little bit more power.
The power down the middle.
I think he's got the power down the middle, but the activity of Prograis, I think, is a concern.
I mean, the volume punching.
Correct. He might out-hustle Zepeda. And he's the one that I don't think you ever have to worry about getting up for the fight. Zepeda, you have to be concerned. Is this dude going to put it all together?
No, for this one, yeah.
I think he will.
He'll be motivated for this
No.
one.
I think he'll be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Last year against Hank Lundy, 4 rounds in, we're like, hey, Jose, there's a fight going on.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. But yeah, I think he knows because that's a dangerous fight. But that's an interesting fight, right?
You know what I liked about Jose?
To me, to put a button on it, top 2 guys aside of Catterall in the division.
Don't disagree. It's very fair. And by the way, Jose Zepeda, I want to give him some credit. He took a tune-up fight completely off TV this past weekend.
Love that.
That's a guy who cares about his craft.
Love that.
And he didn't want to just die on the vine, because I think he realizes, and I spoke to Bob Arum yesterday. I said, has Josh Taylor made up his mind yet? And he said, not till next week when he speaks to him. One other note about 140. A lot of people are talking and assuming that Teofimo Lopez will be in the mix. He's not going to fight till about July. He's going through an elbow and a wrist issue. I think he's getting that cleaned up. So we're not going to see him the first half of the year.
And that's on the heels of, remember, he had something to do with his hand, right?
Yes.
Didn't he have a surgery on his hand?
Yeah. So,
same arm?
Yes. I'm assuming so. But let's just hope physically and psychologically he's cleaned up, ready to go. It's been a very turbulent stretch.
Any news on the training situation?
Nothing yet. Nothing's been finalized either way. And I think that's going to be figured out soon.
I'm really interested to see which way he goes, because, again, he gets with the right camp and he gets his mind right. I think he's right there.
Here's the one from Adam Fahey. What are your 3 fights that are not already in the works that are must-haves by January 1st, 2023?
Well, I'd like to see Cepeda Progre. We just said that.
That's one.
That's one. Another one.
Heavyweight unification, undisputed. Let's make that happen. And I'm going to say this. You know the expiration date on a carton of milk? And it says like...
Are you talking about Spence Crawford?
Yes. And right now, I don't know what the date is. It's like March 23rd. It's like having that big gallon of milk, and it says expiration date March 24th. And you're like, geez, I got to eat 5 bowls of Cheerios and Tricks and Sugar Bombs.
It's okay for like a day or two after, Kim. Seriously.
No, I don't take any risk.
Yeah.
I don't take any risk.
You got no baby stomach.
So
that's why.
they have to fight by this calendar year, and at 147. None of that we're going to fight at 54 in 2 years.
No, 47, yeah.
Here's
Spence been looking huge, though.
Yes.
In the pictures
looks in
he's
shape.
Been,
He
yeah,
does
he's always
look in shape. But again, you're right. It's a lot different 6 weeks before a fight. You're ripped and shredded, and you're thinking, great, take 10 pounds off of that.
Exactly.
What you
Especially
see
when you don't have
then
any fat.
is not what you always see fight night.
Yeah.
Here's one from Mr. Very Feel. Ask that Walmart workout gear kingpin, Mario Lopez, was Tim Bradley.
It's Big Lots.
Yeah, Big Lots.
That's
Big
right.
Lots.
What did
Get
he
it
say?
right.
What did he?
Walmart.
Oh, no, Big Lots.
No,
but
no.
hey, we'll take that too later.
Was Tim Bradley too harsh in his critique of Berlanga, and after consecutive bad performance, do you cash him out? Oh, here's what happened. Tim Bradley on the State of the Game said the chosen one, more like the phony one.
Wow.
Woo!
Well, look, you know we love us some Tim Bradley, and he keeps it
Wow.
real. I like I said, he might have gone a little too hard.
What?
I don't want to throw in the towel and say this kid is overrated, this and that. I just, like I said, he needs to have that come to Jesus sort of conversation. I think the next fight will be very telling. Because here's the thing about these kids, too. They read all this stuff on social media. He's seeing all this backlash and critique of him. One would assume it's going to sink in. It's like, hey, I better get my act together. Or at least someone with a little common sense.
I want to give the Desert Storm credit. In an age of pom-pom waving, agenda pushing wimps out there in the media who only go for access and they want to be nice guys and they want to be friendly, Tim Bradley is the voice of truth, honesty, and justice.
That's my guy.
I love it.
We love us some
He's
Tim Bradley.
He's our Charles Barkley. Look, I think he would have been under scrutiny if he would have said, "Oh, I think Berlanga looked good." Then I would have said he's never coming back on the 3 knockdown rule.
Wow.
I'll tell you that much. I love the way Tim is developing, not only as an announcer but as a personality. He's fearless.
Agreed.
Anyway, here's one from Derek Batista. Gentlemen, if you were in charge of guiding Berlanga's career at this point, what would you do? A, take him off TV for the remainder of the year and put him in lighter competition, or B, throw him in there with Gabe Rosado in an all PR match and hope for the best.
No, I would remove him from his current environment, stick him in like Big Bear, where he can be isolated.
I like that.
And I don't want to give him necessarily a soft touch, but someone who's not necessarily heavy-handed, get a little more confidence, and then have 2-3 camps up in Big Bear or Big Bear-esque type of
Get
camp.
his bearings back.
Get
really.
his bearings back and see the adjustments and if they can be made and go from there.
You know what the issue with that is, and I completely agree. He has a manager, Keith Conley, who I've been told asked for a lot of money, which is their job. Problem is, as a manager, you have to understand the long term, that if you always ask for a lot of money and you squeeze every dime and nickel, that promoter's going to say, oh, okay, so you're not going to want to slow down and lay back a little bit and let us be a little bit safer and pay you less. So if you want every single last dime, because remember, that show this past weekend sold every single ticket, 5,100 plus. So there's something there. Maybe it's more Xander. Maybe it was Carrington. He brought some people. But I know this, but as a promoter, and I've had discussions with people in charge, if you want to squeeze us for every last dollar, never want to work with us, be careful what you ask for, because if you're going to ask for the most amount of money, then we have to pick an opponent that's suitable for what we are paying you.
Exactly.
So unless as a management, at times you tell your guy, are you willing to take less money as we kind of regroup here for the next year? Or do we want to go full speed ahead and we can run you into a brick wall without you even knowing it? You can almost overmanage your fighter into too good of a deal.
You got to look at the big picture.
Keep that in mind. And here's one from Lee the Bald Guy. Ask Mario, why does he keep shooting all his Christmas movies in the damn summertime? Lee, these are big productions. What do you think happens here?
Because they got to be released in Christmas, so I can't turn around.
They're not home movies, Lee.
That quickly.
I mean, do you think Casablanca took 2 weeks to produce? Do you think Gone with the Wind was done in a day or two?
Take it easy. So, first of all, it's spring, and we're going to be in Nashville.
Love Nashville. Love Nashville.
This week, because we were.
Say hello to Jason Whitlock for me when you're out there.
That's right. No, Nashville's great. Nashville's a great town. But where were we the first one? We were Lake Tahoe, and then we went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and now we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. So looking forward to. Looking forward to working out there with the fine people of Tennessee.
And we move on to Final Flurries, and I just want to get this one out of the way. Speaking of Christmas, you know, Family Guy, one of my personal favorite shows. You didn't make a cameo this time. That's not due for another.
I made a few, though.
No, but that's not due till June. You'll be back in June.
Okay.
I'll talk to Seth MacFarlane. I got friends. They did a mashup, and they did a parody called the Bill Belichick Christmas album. It's one of the funny, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
So stupid.
He had a red nose, and he's on to Cincinnati. He did a good job delivering the gifts. Did a good job on it. That was one of the funniest things.
All right.
One of the funniest parodies they did. Mario, I want to talk a little UFC. Is Colby Covington and Masvidal, are they just now taking it to the streets like the Doobie Brothers?
Dude, they got into a fight.
Not good.
On the heels of a professional fight.
That's old school Jack Dempsey,
at some
John L. Sullivan.
Waffle House or something. I know somebody else was involved. Masvidal ended up getting arrested. Not a good look. So that beef is real. Obviously not fabricated. But the event they had this past Saturday at the O2 Arena, which was completely sold out.
Yes.
Dana told me the biggest gate ever. They haven't had a fight there in 2 years. That card was excellent from start to finish. Knockout submissions. The Aspinall, that heavyweight, moves like a middleweight. Quick on his feet, athletic, has hands, can grapple. He's going to be a real problem. But, man, the energy there. I love me the Brits, man.
Eddie Hearn
they are huge.
was ringside.
Eddie Hearn was right there with Dana. That's right. Eddie was there with Dana.
Brokers.
So was Anthony Joshua. Yeah. A lot of fighters, a lot of boxers were there. And that energy was just unmatched. The Brits, man, they love the fight game.
They love combat.
And they are passionate about it. They were loud the whole time. Sounded like a World Cup match. But yeah, Dana said it was awesome.
Now, I know you have the red phone to Mr. UFC. What is the latest with Ngannou and the organization?
He has knee surgery. He had knee surgery recently, so he's going to be out for 9 months at least.
What's his future with the company, though? A lot has been written about that.
When he comes back, he's not an interim champ. They have a word for it, champ and reset, whatever the hell they're calling it.
Oh, they're doing that now? Oh boy.
Well, no, because you can't punish the guy. Yeah. Look, you can't hold the heavyweight division hostage, right? Yeah. So they're going to have the top 2 contenders fight it out. Talking about John Jones possibly coming back.
An elimination bout, basically.
Sure. So they're going to have, I think, maybe even like a couple elimination bouts to fight to get the, and then. Because Ngannou, best case is like 9 months. You can't have no action with heavyweight championship in 9 months, but it might be a year. And then when he comes back, he'll obviously have first crack there. He'll be still champion emeritus, right? So yeah, it's just because of an injury. That's all.
Mario, what happened at the iHeart Radio Awards? Pick up any hardware?
No, I didn't release an album this year, so that didn't happen. Man. But that was fun, man. It was daddy-daughter date night. Took my daughter, Gia. It was at the it wasn't at the Galen Center. It was at, because it was by USC, at the Shrine Auditorium. Nice, tight, 2-hour show. It was funny because when they opened the show, LL Cool J opened, and he was doing all the
Is he still hard as hell?
Dude, he looks good. That fool looks good.
Is he still wearing a Kangol?
Dude, yes, and he's still wearing a Kangol.
He's gonna be buried in that thing.
My guy's
buried in a Kangol.
My guy's like stuck in 1994. I love it. And Gia was like tripping out how I knew all the words to all the songs. She's like, how old is he? And so this and that. I go, oh, you think he's old? And then I go, and Jennifer Lopez, who just stuck in time, and she was killed. She won the Icon Award. It was funny because Billy Porter, there was like 20.
Billy Porter? What type of dress was he
wearing?
Dude,
they had like 20 transvestite, the drag performers. Is that, I don't know what the proper term is, but they had the like RuPaul's Drag Race. They were all imitating J-Lo in different, with the green dress, with the porter, all of these iconic looks of Selena, and they all came. I'm like, damn, they were good too. And then Jennifer comes out and she performs. Kills it, dude. And dude, my girl's 52 years old. And I told Gia, I go, she's 52 years old. She go, no way. She's older than you. And I go, yeah. I go, damn. Kids are brutal. But yeah, so she was awesome. The show itself was great. And they kept it tight. They kept it moving. Megan Thee Stallion.
Show. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was live. So my kind of show.
And Mario, are you working the Oscars this year? What's going on with that?
Dude, I'm excited to say that I'm not. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Lucky you.
My first time in 11 years. I'm not working it because...
Well, the last 2 years.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, last year. Well, that didn't really count because they weren't allowed. And now nobody was allowed to cover it. We're actually allowed to cover it, but I managed to talk my way out of it. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud there. But yes, I don't have to, and I'm really excited. Everybody thinks, oh, you get to go. Dude, those are like bane of my existence, doing those things. I love movies, and I love talking to the folks, but you're like behind this bush. You only get a certain time. Everybody comes you can't eat. You have to go to the bathroom. You got to watch your fluid intake. You can't go. It's crazy. And for the first time ever, all the 10 movies nominated at the Oscars, you don't have to see them in the theaters. You can stream them all.
Wait a minute. There's 10 nominees?
10 nominees. Total arbitrary number, too, by the way. Sometimes there's 5. Sometimes there's 7.
It changes year to year.
Oh, okay.
It changes.
Right.
Isn't that weird? I think they got to be consistent. But there's 10, and for the first time ever, you don't have to go to the theater. My Cornejo went to the movies the other day. Dude, 2 tickets, $50. It was like 51 to go, and not even like the kind where they bring you food and stuff at the AMC. $50 for the Marvel movie for the tickets, not the popcorn, not the drinks, not the parking. She probably got out of there like $120 to go to a movie. So the reason I bring that up is like it's kind of nice now that you have the option to just see all these. Being able to stream. Isn't that crazy?
You know, I actually went to a movie theater about 2 weeks ago for 18th and Grand, the documentary on the Olympic Auditorium.
Correct.
And it's interesting. Movie theaters must be the only place, along with other places that serve fountain drinks, Mr. Pibb, which is knockoff Dr. Pepper, but it's very tangy.
That's what you got out of this conversation, Kim?
Yeah, Mr. Pibb. And I bought some Milk Duds, which I still have at the office. And it is different because 2 years ago, 18th and Grand, they were going to have this big premiere with a lot of the fighters. I think you were probably invited. I know I was invited. In the week of the premiere, everything got shut down. Literally, I think the week of. They were going to have it at the Cinema Dome.
You mean for the COVID stuff?
Yeah. 2020. I got to get you a copy. 18th and Grand about the Olympic Auditorium.
I want to check it out. Aside from that, when was the last time you went to the movies?
I think me and you watched Star Wars or one of the Rocky movies. This is a funny story. So this one he had his Achilles surgery like 3 years ago.
Dude, that was the last time you went to the movies?
It was Creed 2. So we went to a place in Burbank, your favorite sushi spot. So all of a sudden we're having a great meal. So the previews are starting. Then all of a sudden Mario's like this. On his pocket. I'm like,
what's right? I forgot my wallet. You remember that?
No, your phone. I'm like,
oh, my phone. Okay,
what's going on there? And I go, Mario, we got ants in your pants. No, I don't have my phone. Kim, call my phone. Like, all right. I don't hear anything. Oh, no. So then we had to look up the sushi spot.
Damn, you remember all
this. And I'm
this.
like, hello? Yes, I was with Mario Lopez. I was the Asian guy. I'm just wondering, do you see a phone where we were by the Sapporo that I drank? Uh-huh. Yeah. I go, they got it. This guy with one bad Achilles looked like Mexican Usain Bolt. Bing! He gets out the door, and I'm thinking he's going to miss the first half of the movie. He was back before the movie started.
Dude, that's so crazy. That
was part of your rehab. And Creed 2, this is what I remember about Creed 2. There was like 3 cringeworthy scenes. Me and you both looked at each other going, ugh, God. That was not a good movie, Creed 2.
Dude, that's the last time you went to the movies?
Yeah.
That was like 3 years ago.
Or maybe a Star Wars where me, you, Stearns, and your son went on a Christmas day. And that was a terrible movie, too. They have ruined Star Wars. Oh, my God.
No, that's why you got to watch The Mandalorian.
The good ones are on a galaxy far, far away.
No, the good ones are on Disney+. Plus. You need to watch Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
You love that one, The Mandalorian, the little guy.
Way better.
All right, well, anyway, we'll be back. Hopefully, we're going to figure out our schedule. We want to thank everyone that made this show possible, the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. So on behalf of Mario Lopez, Tim Frazier, Justin Buffalo Knuckles, and Tino on the edits, goodbye, everybody.